at the same time, the victim can also turn into the persecutor. Oh, you don't ever help me. You don't do anything for me, because the persecutor is the bully, right? So there's all this switching around on the triangle, and that is not a healthy way to relate to anybody.
And now,
I'm the captain now.
coming to you from the K2 Studios in San Diego, California.
That sounds great. You sound amazing.
I always sound amazing.
It's the world famous
Everybody's hitting off like BFFs.
Kris and Kristine Show. Hey, what's happening, everybody? How are you doing today? Thank you so much for listening. And I am Kris.
And I'm Kristine, and welcome to episode 108 of the Kris and Kristine Show.
Yes, 108 episode is like my favorite number.
Oh, you're such a brat. That's not true. Okay, so I think that I'm going to come up with a new phrase, and I think we should put it in our intro.
Oh, yeah? What do you think it's going to be, baby?
Well, I think because we are Kris and Kristine, and we talk about the Kris and Kristine Show podcast, I think I want to call it the Kris and Kristine Show Cool Cast, because we're cool cats.
Ooh, the Cool Cast Club.
Because it's kind of like cool cats, like we're the cool cats.
Wait, is it Cool Cats or Cool Cast?
Cool Cast, but it kind of sounds like cool cats. Like, hey.
I've never heard of Cool Cats in my life.
You've never heard of like, ooh, they're the cool cats.
No? Is that a thing?
Yes. It's like all the way going back to the jazz days where they'd be like, he's one cool cat.
Yeah, totally, of course. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
You're such a booger.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling, Kris? It sounds like you still got a little bit of a, maybe like not a frog, maybe it's a guppy in your throat.
Yeah, I think it's more like a tadpole, really, in my throat still. I don't know what's going on.
Did you catch that I just said throat? I meant to say throat, but I said, it sounds like you have a guppy in your throat.
Well, thank you for noticing that. Yeah, I thought I was feeling great. I felt great yesterday. But today we're doing some podcasting. It is a Sunday evening because Kristine was out doing some wedding venue stuff yesterday, that being Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, Saturday and then Sunday.
Busy wedding day.
Yeah, Kristine's been busy with the whole wedding stuff going on. And I hear been wrangling the kids and doing podcasting for Podcasting Audio.
Yeah.
And that fun stuff over the weekend. That was great, by the way. But first off, how are you? How was your work week, Ben? Your regular job, honey? Well, you do have a regular job.
I have a regular job. It was busy this week, and I had to go back into the office for the first time since October because they had been painting the building, and then we were on vacation, and then holiday break because of Thanksgiving. So I worked in the office, not on Thursday. Actually, I went to drive into work, and I left on time, and I left our neighborhood, which we live kind of in the country.
Yeah,
and
we live like in this boonies. Really.
And so then I was like trying to drive towards the freeway, but it was like backed up traffic pretty much all the way to our subdivision. And
wait, the traffic was backed up to our house here?
Pretty close. Yeah, I think it was
everybody was trying to leave to go to work.
Well, everybody was trying to get to the freeway, and I was like, oh, crud, what's going on? And so I waited, and then I put in my Starbucks mobile order, and it said that it would be ready in like 10 minutes, but then it took me forever to get there. Thankfully, they didn't make it until I got there. But then I had to get on the
problems. Yeah.
Then I had to get on the freeway, but I already had spent like 35 minutes just getting down our road, and then was projected to take an hour to get from our house to work, which it's normally like a 25-minute drive. So I was doing the talk to text to my boss as I got onto the freeway, just letting him know that it was going to take like another hour. And at this point, it was already late. And he just said, there's no need to come in. Just go ahead and turn around and work from home.
Usually sometimes when the boss will say that, no need to come in. At times it's a bad thing, like, don't bother coming in today or the next day or the day after that either.
Well, that may be for other people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
For,
yeah.
like me, star employee. But
yes, Kristine's a goody at work.
Oh, you're such a brat. So on Friday I went into work and, there was no traffic at all. And so I definitely got there early. And I had a couple of meetings, and then I'd been waiting to get my computer fixed by our technology services because I haven't been able to.
Your computer for work?
Yeah. They wouldn't fix my personal computer.
Oh, okay. Just check it.
No, so my work computer wasn't printing to any of the network printers within our organization. And so when I'd been talking with the tech team, they thought that they needed to do like a driver update or something like that. And so I took my laptop in, and normally I function on 2 screens here at home. And so when I save a bunch of stuff to my desktop, like it doesn't look bad because it's on 2 screens.
Wait. The screen, I'm talking about the screen on the laptop and the screen on the actual like desk, right?
Like my monitor. Yeah. So typically I'm using my laptop, and then I have an external monitor that I attach to. And so
like I'm using right now.
Yes. And so when I save stuff to my desktop, it's across 2 big surfaces. Well, when you unplug from the monitor and you're just functioning on your laptop, everything gets cluttered onto one little screen.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like overlapping.
Because your desktop is just filled with all kinds of icons and files and
screenshots and all kinds of stuff. And so I went into the tech guy, his name's George, and I opened up my laptop and he's all, whoa, you got a lot going on there. And I was like, yes. And so then he looked at my operating system and he's like, oh gosh, like there's been 2 full updates, but since you have this operating system, and he's like, it was probably because of, COVID, you haven't been able to get your computer updated, which means that's why it's not working. And he's like, I'm going to need to do these updates, and then I'm going to have to, do some other stuff to it. And so I was like, okay. And this is like, I think right around 10:30, 10:45 in the morning. And I was like, so what are you wanting me to do? And he's like, well, you're going to have to leave your laptop here for about 4 hours. And I was like, 4 hours? What am I going to do? Like my work.
You use your computer for everything. Everything your job revolves around that computer. Like, could you physically do your job without that thing?
No.
Like, not at all?
Without a computer. And they didn't have any loaner Macs.
Oh,
and so,
okay.
Or even PCs, because I do most of my work between Zoom and the Google Drive. I have a lot of my work.
So you could just log in to. So if you were to actually borrow a separate computer, could you still do your regular job? I thought everything was saved on your computer.
No. I learned a long time ago that I need to have backup storage. And so I save most of my files to the cloud.
Backup storage? I got to look into that. Backup storage. My goodness. What's that about?
So like the iCloud or Google Drive, and, then I have email and Zoom and stuff like that. And so I don't really save a lot to my computer because I don't know. I've just had instances, not with my Mac, but other computers where they crash and then you lose everything. And so anyways.
Knock on wood, yeah.
Yeah. So I was talking with him and I was like, so what am I supposed to do? And he's like, do you have other projects you can work on for the next 4 hours? I was like, no, but I have my personal computer at home. So needless to say, my boss told me to go ahead and go and work from home on my personal laptop. And so 2 days
did you charge them a rental fee for using your laptop?
No, but I was able to come home and be comfy. And it's just weird when I'm in the office because there's only like 4 or 5 people in there.
And it's a big office.
On Fridays.
Like how many people could fit in that office? Like if it was fully staffed and fully functional, no COVID situation.
So on my floor, because I'm on the 2nd floor of my building, we have about 150 people that work there.
No way.
Yeah.
150 people, huh?
Yeah, between administrators and support staff.
5 that they were
I
there?
might be just under exaggerating.
So going from 150 to 5?
I mean, it's a Friday, and so we get to work in the office 2 days a week and remotely the other days. But between some people being on vacations and other people being out at school sites and things like that, there's not a lot. I mean, there's 2 different sides of the top floor. And so on my side, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 maybe tops on Fridays.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
Yeah. But so needless to say, like for work, it was interesting because I ended up getting to work from home all week again. And then I go to work.
Lucky you.
I know. I feel very fortunate.
You know what's funny? I got to tell everybody that Christine, she showed me her Zoom outfit. It was so hilarious. She called it the Zoom outfit. Basically,
I called it my COVID suit.
Yes, COVID. I call it the Zoom outfit because you're on Zoom camera while you're using it.
No, but you have to get the right name. It's the COVID Classic. It's the COVID Classy suit. I'm going to market this, so get it right.
Okay, COVID Classic suit. Well, basically what it means is that you got your makeup done all right, got your hair all done right, and then you're wearing your cute blouse and like you're wearing some kind of like
suit jacket.
It's like suit jacket, and you had a necklace of some sort on there and all pretty and everything, but from waist down, what were you wearing? Like
I had matching shorts.
You had shorts on.
I had a black suit jacket and I had black, like higher quality shorts on. So it was still classy. But my thinking is, nobody judges a woman for wearing a skirt with a suit jacket. So shorts are just, a little bit more gender neutral. Why can't we bring short suits back?
Well, hey, you guys bring whatever you want. The mini skirts come back too, as far as I'm concerned. But
okay, don't be a chauvinist. So no, I was wearing that because I had to give a presentation and I wanted to look really nice, but there was no need to get like the full slacks on. And so but I still wanted to dress nice. So I put on classy shorts.
Yeah, you did look very nice. And I
Thank
think
you.
on Zoom, no one can really tell. That's a great thing about being on Zoom.
And even if they could tell, there's no problem with me wearing shorts.
And you're from home too. Has anybody been on the Zoom calls with you that have been full on like robes and pajamas, like totally phoning it in?
Oh, no. They would just go off camera. I think if they
really?
were, they just, I've had some people that are like, oh, my camera's not working. And I'm like, you're totally just not ready for work today.
That's a clue. That's like a red flag. Like
Yeah.
red flag. Like Susie, she's in her pajamas still.
Yeah.
Her hair is on curls. Has anybody been on curls, like with curls in their hair, like on Zoom?
No, absolutely not. I mean, we're professionals. Come on now. It's not like people give work from home a bad reputation. I think that your mentality and your thinking behind work from home is exactly why so many employers are resisting like keeping people working from home, because they think, oh, if we let you work from home, you're going to start to become slackers. And the reality is I get up and I get ready almost every morning for work, especially recently. I wake up and I get ready and, put on a suit jacket or a blazer or a sweater. And I make sure I look presentable because I'm meeting with professionals that show up and dress up and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah. I wonder if, like if I was on Zoom, like I don't do Zoom for work or anything like that, but
no, you just Zoom on the freeway instead.
That is true. Yes, that is true. So, hey, speaking of work, for me, I had to go back to work last week, and it was a full week of work after being on vacation and after being sick, because I was sick the week of Thanksgiving.
Aren't you still sick?
Or
is it just like allergies?
I don't even know. I was feeling fine today. I felt great today, and I felt great yesterday. And then all of a sudden, as soon as I get down here and we start doing the microphones and getting everything set up and start recording, my voice starts getting all kind of crackly. And
maybe you have microphone fright. It's like stage fright, but podcast edition.
I think I got stage fright on the microphone here. I don't know
why.
What's up with that?
Call it mic fright.
I think everybody's watching me right now. Everybody's listening. I don't even care.
How was work for you?
It was fine. Actually, I had it was kind of busy. There's a couple of days that were really busy. I don't know what it is, but for some reason on Thursdays, they seem to really slam us hard with a lot of work. And there's seems like there's more cars on the road Thursday. I don't know what's going on, but Thursday seems like traffic's heavier on Thursdays. You'd think Fridays, right? I think, everybody's leaving for Friday. Friday, that is true. People do want to get out of town and do things, but Friday, it seems like Thursdays have been worse than I've noticed, but maybe it's just me, but it was really busy, which is crazy because you think with people working at home, like you're doing, I figure that a lot of people are also working from home, and that's getting closer to the holiday season. So I just assume that a lot of people are taking time off for vacation and for holidays, but it might be a little too early for that. Now I think about it, but yeah, it was really, really busy at work, and I went through it and I finished it. And I took the car to work every single day, which is great because it gets better gas mileage than the truck does.
Yeah.
It's funny because the car, I can go about 200 miles on half a tank of gas.
Oh, wow.
On the car. And that's, it's a sports car, and it's not really designed
so
for...
how much does that cost you to fill it back up right now? Like a half a tank in the car?
Well, considering it takes premium... And it's a 19-gallon tank, so you're looking at about probably
10 gallons.
Yeah. So whatever that is, at $4.50 a gallon, whatever.
$45.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
But to fill up half tank on the truck, and this is regular. I mean, the other day I filled it up and it was a little bit above half, and it cost me $70.
Well, it also is a 36-gallon tank.
Right,
on that
but
truck.
You also get less miles per gallon on the truck.
I know. Hey, speaking of the truck, we did take it 4-wheel driving today for the first time ever. We actually...
Okay, not legitimate 4-wheel driving.
I put it in 4-wheel drive.
You put it in 4-wheel drive, but it wasn't like we were, doing a Jeep track or anything like that.
So later today, before we got to do podcasting, we had to run back to the wedding venue that Christine was at yesterday because she left some stuff there. So we took my truck, loaded the kids, loaded everybody up in my truck, and we took it out to this area where it was at. It was actually like a campground kind of like in
It was like a glamping location. It's called Stallion Oaks Ranch, and it's in an area called Descanso.
So it was actually off the beaten path, like literally off the road. So you actually did have to go off road for a little bit. There wasn't any paved areas.
It was just dirt.
Yeah, it was all dirt. In one spot where it was dirt, you kind of like went down this little like path where I was like, you took your car down this thing? Because it almost looked like something you needed a 4-wheel drive to kind of get over that little ledge there. You know what I'm talking about.
You're being overly dramatic. It was not, like 4-wheel drive was not needed. And even if it was, you know, my little Ruby Ride 2.0, she handled it like a pro. I mean, she may be a bit dusty, but girl's got power.
Yeah, well, definitely, you know, but we did put it in 4-wheel drive and we did kind of creep it out of there. And it was kind of fun to put it in 4-wheel drive. I've had this truck for, 2 years now or a year and a half now?
No, barely like a year and a half.
Okay, so I have this truck a year and a half now. And this is the first time ever I've actually clicked on the 4-wheel drive mode.
Yeah. Now, I thought when you went 4-wheel drive, like you would just like, it's kind of like putting it into drive where you just like shift into a different gear. But this one, it was like you had to turn a knob and then it made you put it in neutral and then it had to adjust and then it told you to move forward and then it clicked in and it felt kind of weird. It felt almost like it was tugging a little bit more. I don't know how to explain it, but it felt like the truck had to work harder.
Well, what happens is that we had a 4-wheel drive low. It basically is designed for like crawling and like creeping through stuff, the low. I guess the high is more for like if you want to do some serious, like you're going through Baja, like that kind of stuff, like faster.
What do you mean Baja?
Like the Baja 1000 races where they're racing the Baja trucks.
I don't know what that is, but okay.
Okay, well they're racing like the trophy trucks, the ones that like in the dirt and they're going real fast over like the dunes and over all the stuff.
What's a trophy truck?
Okay, a trophy truck is like an off-road truck that they race, like do the races with. Like think of a racing truck, not a lowered racing truck, but a lifted racing truck. Like a Ford Raptor is kind of like a street version of a trophy truck.
Oh, okay, so it's not like a Monster Jam truck.
No, those are like for crawling and going over cars and things.
Okay.
These are the ones that are like based on like regular trucks, like mine, but they're like gutted and they're like they're lifted, of course, but they have these crazy suspension on those things. Oh my goodness, those things, they're flying at like 100 miles an hour across like whoops and dirt and trails.
Oh my word, that would be so painful for my back.
Well, they have like a navigator with them and they're driving and they're flying. They got the helmets and they got the headphones on. They're talking all that stuff.
Can you like show me that sometime on a video or something? That sounds really fun.
Are you kidding me? Of course I would. Wow. Yeah. But the trophy trucks can be very, very expensive, and they're like they run the Baja 1000 runs from Ensenada. It runs down the peninsula of Baja we were at for La Paz. It runs down all that stuff and to the bottom, I guess back again. I forget the trail, but that's where it is. There's a Baja 500 and a Baja 1000. And the trophy trucks, and they have dune buggies that do it. I think they have motorcycles too, maybe.
Wow.
Or quads, maybe.
And it's 1,000 kilometers or miles?
I think it's miles, but don't quote me on that. I know they do kilometers down there, but I'm pretty sure it's miles. And most people who enter the race don't finish. Like it's only like maybe
like they die?
No, like they break down or whatever.
Oh wow!
Or, so they say like what is it, like top 5% or 10% of people who enter actually finish.
That's crazy.
Or something like that. Yeah.
That would be like, I don't know. It sounds like some like Survivor or what is it like? Not Big Brother. What's that show where they used to have to like run to the different cities and get like the different clues? What was it called?
Amazing Race.
Oh, The Amazing Race. It sounds like The Amazing Race, but like souped up truck edition.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah, but they're doing it at night and they're doing it through. You're going through Mexico and it's funny. Some of the people watching the race will be next to the side of the line. These trucks are jumping, like doing these jumps over these big like hills and stuff. And I'm like, watch out, kid! You're like right next to the side of the trail. You're gonna get run over. Like it's almost kind of like the rally racing. You ever seen the rally race cars?
I don't think so.
Okay, the rally racing is like they're like the rally. Closest thing of a rally race car you might think of would be like the Ford. What's a small Ford car?
Like a Focus?
Yeah, like the Focus has a rally car they were using, and so does like Mitsubishi had their Lancer. And
say that again.
Mitsubishi.
Mitsubishi.
That's what I said. Mitsubishi. They had their Lancer Evo edition, and of course, the Subaru WRX. You've heard of that car, I'm sure. You've seen those.
You are so nerding out right now. I can honestly say I did not know that there were this many types of races. It's super fascinating. Like I knew about the what's it called? Like the NASCAR. Oh, NASCAR. Okay,
I've been in NASCAR a few times.
So NASCAR, and then what's that one that's in France? Is it like the Michelin or
Le Mans?
Oh, that's what it is.
You know what? Speaking of Le Mans, they actually have a race.
It sounds like Lamaze class. I should have remembered that.
That's how they started it, by the way. It was women had to breathe real heavily, and then they just raced. That's the way they started originally. Yeah, no, just kidding. By the way, no, they actually have a race called the not the Le Mans, the Le Mans. Now the Le Mans,
is it only for men?
No, the Le Mans is like lemon cars that are lemons, like race.
See how long they can go.
And they like race till they fall apart or something like that. It's like, I heard about it. I don't know if they still do it, but it's like the entry fee. The car has to be worth no more than $1,000.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And, but enough about that fun stuff. So.
Yeah. When you talk about cars, it makes me think of like relationships when you're talking about like the different types of cars and what they go through and all of the different bumps in the road and to see who's going to endure to the end. It just makes me think about that and like everything we've been through for the last year. I don't know why it made me think of that, but it did.
You know, it does, because some people treat their cars like they treat their women. You know, they will just like get a new edition or new model. Like, I'm bored with this one. I'm going to go on to the next.
Except for you treat your cars very well. So what does that say about how you treat me? Do you treat me the same as your cars?
Absolutely, baby. I hang on to you until the wheels fall off. Or until there's a good deal somewhere else down the line, like there was in my truck. So.
Oh, ouch. That hurt. That was rough. Oh, Don't trade me in.
I'm just kidding. Of course I won't trade you. Maybe you're a classic.
I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or a put down. Like, I'm a classic versus like I'm like a collector car.
Well, baby, you are Dr. Dr. Christine is in the house.
But even without the title, honey. Am I something to keep around?
You definitely are, baby.
Okay.
You are. You're like the Z car I have. You know, like people at work say, "Oh, you should sell the Z." And you had some people come over and say they want to buy the Z. I said, "No, I kind of like the car." And I'm trying.
So what he's saying is, he's like, "Nah, even if you want to take her off my hands, she's kind of growing on me. I guess I'll keep her around.
Exactly.
Even if she costs me a little bit of money."
We like the Z, definitely.
Oh, you're such a brat. You're feisty today.
Oh, I know.
Well, enough about us and our relationship. So what's coming up on the rest of this episode today?
Today here on the Kris and Christine show, we have had a fantastic guest that came through. Because Christine over here, by the way, she's Doctor and I'm Dr. Love. But later we're going to have a actual relationship coach that tells all about relationships and her life journey with relationships. And we're going to have her on the show right after this. Hey, thank you so much for being a loyal listener of the Kris and Christine show. And as that you are a loyal listener, we have a very fun opportunity for you to get involved with the show.
Ooh, tell me more.
If you like to get exclusive content you can't get anywhere else and to receive free merchandise shipped to you every single month.
Ooh, I want that.
Then head over to patreon.com/The Kris and Christine Show. That is patreon.com/The Kris and Christine Show.
And welcome back, everybody. Today we have another special VIP guest for you. This one is a very special treat, and we think it's going to provide lots of value to your life. Our guest is a behavioral relationships expert. She is an author and podcast host. Welcome to the show, Tracy Crossley.
Thank you. Thank you. I've never gotten applause before, so that was awesome.
Well, there you go. They're all here just for you.
We're excited to have you on the show today, Tracy. What area of the world are you joining us from today?
I'm joining you from Los Angeles, California.
How was the drive down here, by the way? Is a lot of traffic?
Yeah, we appreciate you being in studio.
I was going to say you have to leave at like 3 a.m. to get there by 6 if you're lucky.
What part of Los Angeles do you live in? Because Los Angeles is just a big, like, broad area.
I live in the northeast part. I live near Pasadena.
Oh, that's a nice area.
Perfect. Is that by the
Rose Bowl?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I live about 5 miles from there.
And isn't there like a NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory up in like Pasadena area?
It's actually in La Cañada, which is right next door to Pasadena, and I live right next door to La Cañada. So it's all within, I'd say, like a 7-mile radius.
I liked how you said that, La Cañada, because anytime I see the sign, I call it La Canada.
The what?
Mexican. Come on now. I should have more of an accent. So thank you for correcting me. La Cañada. I'm going to say it from now on. Well, we appreciate you being here with us, and we're super excited to learn about you and your professional background. But we'd like to know a little bit more about you as a person. So,
have you lived in Los Angeles your whole life?
I actually moved to Los Angeles when I was 2 years old. So I went with my parents, obviously. I didn't drive here. But
that 2-year-old you just packed it up and left.
She's like, deuces, people. I'm here.
Right?
Yeah.
And I lived in, I guess you'd call it the border of Orange County and LA County when I was growing up. I lived in a city called Cerritos, and nobody really knew where that was until they had a car, this whole row of car lots. And so people then would go, "Oh, you're from the car lot place." So that's where I grew up. And then I've just been up here ever since then. About 18, 19 years old, I moved up to this area.
Okay. So do you consider yourself a native to LA or more of an OC kind of girl?
That's a funny question. I've never been asked that before. I went to the OC beaches. I mean, I was always at Huntington or Newport or Bolsa Chica. I guess Bolsa Chica's on the border, but, it just depended. But I would say it was pretty evenly split.
All right, because I always watch those reality shows. Well, not always, like Real Housewives of Orange County. And then, I watched
important stuff, yeah.
But then I watched Selling Sunset, and it's so stereotypical LA and Orange County. But I think people have this mentality of what it's like to live in LA or Orange County. But you sound like a pretty normal, down to earth person.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Most people think I'm from New York, so I don't know.
Why would they say that? Do you have a little bit of an accent?
No. Oh. No, it just made me laugh, though, because people have actually said to me that I have an accent like I'm from Wisconsin. And I'm like, people, I've been here since I was 2. So I don't know how that worked. I don't know. The minute I tell them I was born in Wisconsin, oh, you know what? You kind of have a Midwestern accent going on there.
Okay. Well, maybe it just carried with you from birth,
Yeah, I'm assuming so, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just funny. But people think I'm from New York because I happen to be pretty direct and down to earth. Mm-hmm. And I did work in the entertainment industry for a little while.
Wait, what? Doing what now? You perked my ears. I woke up. What?
I did a couple of different things. I had my own business at one point. It was a marketing graphic design business, and I had a lot of B movie companies as clients. And so those are not where the A celebrities are. That's where the B celebrities go to die, basically.
Retirement?
Yeah, kind of. They don't know they're in retirement, though. They still think they're an A-list celebrity. So,
okay. Mm-hmm. Now I have a question for you.
Sure.
I'm gonna show my cards here. I'm slightly more than obsessed with Hallmark Channel Christmas movies, and I watch those movies all the time. But last night, as I was watching them, I saw some former. More prominent celebrities showing up more and more on the Hallmark Channel movies. And I was wondering, if you were to give an A, B, C level or F to the Hallmark Channel movies, where does it tier in terms of movie levels?
Oh, wow. I know that you like them a lot. So
that's okay. No judgment.
Okay. So I would have to say that they go to B or C. I mean,
okay.
Really, they do.
Yeah.
And I've watched them, so I know.
Well, I'm not talking quality, but I'm looking at some of these celebrities, and I was like, oh, how the mighty have fallen. I didn't think you'd be on a Hallmark Channel movie.
It's called getting a paycheck.
I guess so.
It is. And well, it's funny too, because when I had my company, there's somebody, and I'm not going to name the name because this is a person who basically had been in something as a child star. Yeah. And then it kind of their career decreased, and we were working with her and her personal photographer who used to edit the, this is back in the old days, when the photographer's okay, I've got to edit out the hair on her arms kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. So that was his big thing. Right. And then she became big again.
Okay.
And so it could have been a lull for her. I don't know where she's at now because I don't pay attention, but right. So it can change. So it's not permanent for everybody.
Yeah, it's just interesting. And you're talking about B-level movies, because I was thinking about that last night as I saw 3 of these people that used to be on pretty prominent on TV and on a couple of movies, and I was like, And all three in the same movie. Wow, this must be a big budget Hallmark movie. And then I thought,
big budget, huh?
and then I thought, wait, that's kind of like an oxymoron. Big budget Hallmark movies, but well, that's exciting that you used to work in the entertainment industry. Now you aren't in the entertainment industry anymore. What I see is you're a behavioral relationship expert. So, how did you make that transition?
Oh, well, it was kind of foisted upon me in a sense. I had been out of that because I also worked in the animation industry as well. And that came after my foray in working with B Movie Studios. But I had been working in corporate and I was working in marketing and I got laid off. And that was around the big fall in 2008, the economy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And so I had been reading this book. And in the book, I tend to, I don't know how you guys read books, but when I read books, if there's references to other books or other things, I'm always copying down, notes. And then I'm going, okay, yeah, I want to check that book out, right?
Right.
And so I did. And I ended up looking at this book called Calling in the One because my love life was a disaster at this point. And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But I wasn't looking to become a coach. Long story short, I ended up meeting the author of the book and working with her and her business partner at the time where I was doing some marketing outreach and sales. And then they said, hey, do you want to be a coach? And I'm like, no, I don't want to be a coach. And they're like, no, really? Do you want to be a coach? And I'm thinking in my head, how am I going to make money as a coach? What? And so long story short, they offered me this training and I ended up taking it and I became a love coach. And that was really
love coach, like love doctor.
Yeah.
Love coach.
Yeah. So it was funny, funny, because I didn't at the time have any, what do I call that? Modicum of what love really was when it came to an intimate relationship. I'd had intimate relationships. I'd been married. I'd had, relationships with other people, but I really didn't even understand what love was. That's why it was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. So you launched into this business and did you find success right away or did you have to struggle through and find your footing?
Well, I had to struggle through, and I struggled through mostly with myself because I think for a long time I wasn't taking it seriously. I kept thinking something else would come along. Why am I doing this? I ended up working in a new age store, and I'm also psychic. I, don't really put that out there too often, but they had hired me to do some psychic readings, and then they found out I was a coach, and then I started coaching people, and this was all in person, and I just ended up growing a business. I think within a few months, I had about 10 clients weekly.
Oh, wow.
I still wasn't making enough to live on, but that was sort of the progression, and I just kept doing it. And even when I had other jobs to support the business because it took a long time for the business to actually be something I could do on my own. It always seemed like it never went away. Like it was always there. Like even times where I'm thinking, okay, I'm just not going to be a coach anymore. I will tell you, people would just keep showing up. And I thought, okay, yeah.
Huh, interesting.
So at what point along your journey did you, or I'm making an assumption, at what point did your coaching of others around love turn towards yourself to help you find the one?
I really had made that such a focus. I mean, it's kind of not a sad statement, but for a long time, I felt like it was a sad statement because that was just the one area of my life where I struggled. And I put so much focus on that. I didn't really internalize it and put it together, I would say, until a couple of years after I started coaching. And then I started realizing, okay, Tracy, you're really the one who has the issue. It's not the people that you date. And, because it's easier to blame other people, right? So I stopped doing that and I really started taking responsibility for where I was. And I learned a lot about myself and I started opening up. And then at one point I decided, okay, I really want to have a committed relationship because I came out of my first marriage like, I don't want to get married again. I don't even want to be in a relationship. Just the whole idea gave me the heebie-jeebies. And, I had a lot of, I would say, baggage around it.
Yeah, I understand that. So Tracy, I'm assuming your first marriage ended. When you guys separated, was it kind of mutual or something bad really happened?
It was not mutual. It was really my decision.
Okay.
And that was hard because I, at the time, really didn't understand, oh, is this okay for me to get divorced? I had to go buy a book on women giving themselves permission to get divorced. I forgot the name of it, but literally I felt like, well, I'm not being beaten. I'm not, none of these horrible things are happening. My ex-husband was an alcoholic, but that's still in my mind at the time, that was part of the reason. But there was so many things I had going on, like thinking some fantasy of some person out there was going to save me from me, like, I'm going to connect with somebody
like
in a way that.
Like the fairy tale, like
yes.
Prince Charming was coming around the corner.
Yes. Like I was not married to Prince Charming. I mean, we didn't really have a lot in common either. Like my kids will look back and they'll go, yeah, we don't get you and Dad. We don't understand how that worked.
Yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So being in that situation and now like stepping into a new relationship, what did you find out about yourself that was different from just learning about love? Because it sounds like you had some kind of minefields to navigate around.
Well, a lot of the reason that I work with people who have insecure attachment issues came from my own insight into my own issues. Really, it did. I did not know what my issue was. Like when I figured out, okay, I'm the issue, I didn't really know there was a label for it. It took a while longer for me to figure out there was a label to it because I'm what you call an anxious avoidant, meaning I get anxious at getting close and I get anxious at going far away depending on the partner. And if somebody's more avoidant, as in, I think everybody's always heard the term, whoever cares less is the winner kind of a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, I always wanted to be the one who cared less because that meant I had control. That meant that I wouldn't feel something that I didn't want to feel. And so my own discovery of like my ways and becoming really aware of the things I would do led to me being able to make some big changes. And those changes were difficult. This is probably the hardest work I ever did in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I really got to a point where I'm like, okay, you know what? I want to have a healthy, happy relationship. It's not going to happen just because I meet a great guy. I'm going to tell the great guy to go away because I'm not open or available to it. And it really took me being able to do that.
So it's almost like playing hard to get in a way.
In a way, because when people play hard to get, that's all from insecurity. All of it.
We point
Yes.
fingers at me, Christine.
All right, say that one more time, Tracy. That just was like light bulbs. Go ahead.
Yes. When you play hard to get, that comes from insecurity.
Oh.
You're probably right. I think about it. As I think about it, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about that. That's a heavy statement right there. Playing hard to get comes from insecurity. Tell us more.
Okay. So when you are not emotionally available or open, okay, and this isn't for everybody, 24 hours a day. Some people, because of things that have transpired in their life, maybe they've just gone through a breakup or, something has been of a crisis nature, let's say, and then they're kind of closed up. But for the majority of people, especially those people that fall into insecure attachment, we tend to play hard to get because, first of all, we feel like it gives us a sense of control. We feel like that mystery gives people something to react to. And this is all in an unconscious way. It's not like someone sits around consciously thinking, I'm going to play hard to get. And I am going to, keep people at bay because if somebody gets close to me, they might find out about the real me. That's one thing that people are afraid of having happen. When you have, let's say, more avoidant issues, you don't want people really getting that close. Even though you have a deep desire to be known, you have a fear of being known because from childhood forward, you've never really been known on an emotional level. So that's one area.
Okay.
The other, I'm sorry if you want to
No,
ask
that's
questions
no.
about-
I'm just saying okay. Like that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, keep going.
Okay. All right. So, anyways, when it comes to the insecurity, it's the reason for most people who play hard to get, it's because they're also waiting for the other person to show them something so that the other person makes it safe for them to come closer. So, it can be a matter of, let's say that you're playing hard to get and then you have somebody who's chasing you, right? And so then you feel kind of like, okay, I'm feeling like I'm pretty cool right now because I'm getting this attention. And right?
Yeah,
And
I hear you.
yeah.
Kris is laughing because he likes to tell everybody. I mean, it's like a badge of honor for him that I made the first move.
You did make the first move.
And that I was very forthcoming with the fact that I wanted to spend time with him. And he was the more avoidant. Not avoiding me, but more playing hard to get.
Let's keep it cool, baby.
And, trying to make me put in the effort. And then for me, that's like, well, am I not worthy of being chased? And then I was like, just get over it. If you want to be with this person, let them know that you want to spend time with them. And the more that I showed up for Kris, the more open he was and receptive to it. And I think that kind of lands back in maybe some of the baggage that we both carry into the relationship.
Absolutely. But the thing is, at least you were clear about what you wanted.
True.
And so, and that takes something, I think, other than an insecurity. To me, it's like, if I know that I want something and I'm clear on it, I'm going to take a risk. And it sounds like, in taking a risk, a lot of people are afraid to do that. Right. They do it once or twice. They've been hurt. Oh, I can't do that again. I'm just going to like that person and they're never going to know.
That's like back to elementary school.
I know,
right?
huh?
Oh, yeah. And I was listening to something. It was like this, I don't know, like a TikTok or something like that. And I think that you'll have something to say on this, but they were talking about how a little girl at school was reporting being mistreated by a boy. And the administrator said, oh, well, that's just because he likes you. And how as a young girl, she heard that, but, grew up with this belief that if a boy is mean to me, that means he likes me. And then kind of the emotional damage that does to a young girl at a young age of thinking that, men being aggressive or mean is a sign of affection, and kind of how that.
Like, I only hit you because I love you.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like from a very young age, it starts to program young girls that, to be mistreated equals affection. If you think about that.
Is that true, Tracy? Is that a thing?
I do believe it's a thing. It's funny because I was with my daughters this weekend and we went to the store and we were talking about how we normalize the idea of men whistling at you or men grabbing you. And as women, it's just something that you've just put up with, right? Yeah. Ever since you were a teenager. I mean, I remember walking home from high school and like the construction site across the way, guys would be whistling at you. And so it's something you get used to. So of course you internalize it. Oh, a guy likes me if he's pulling my hair, or a guy likes me if he's mean to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And how from a young age, when you have a healthy male approaching you in a positive way, how it's actually not received. We have Kris and I, we co-parent my son who's almost 17, and he is going through the stage of learning how to ask girls out on dates. And so he asked a young lady out and was, following up with her, giving details to confirm where they were going to meet the next day. And it was almost like he was too dependable, where the girl kind of like flaked out and freaked out because, again, these young girls are getting so used to at a young age, guys being flaky, ghosting them, spreading rumors and stuff.
It swings both ways, baby.
Yeah, it does. But it's really interesting how these kind of tainted relationship patterns start to be ingrained into our behavior at such a young age.
Yes, they do. And, again, if you have somebody at home, like a parent at home who has been, let's say, very supportive of you, and not to the point where you're a helicopter parent, because, there's that fine line of giving your kids a sense of confidence and at the same time taking it away by, overdoing it, overprotecting them. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think that when it comes to your home environment, that has a lot to do with it as well. If you don't have, like, let's say, you're a girl and your dad is a workaholic, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're not getting a lot of feedback from dad, you might not have that male energy in your life where if guys are doing that, you're like, oh, that's how I get attention. Because my dad doesn't pay attention to me because he's not around. Uh-huh. And, we're doing a lot of that at an unconscious level. We're not consciously aware that we are putting two and two together in that way.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So, like, let's take this. Kris and I always use ourselves as an example, and as
we're
part
the
of
guinea pigs of life.
Yeah, and so we like to be very open with our listeners because we feel like our podcast is, part sharing information and part therapy for the two of us.
Right.
So, Kris and I both came into this relationship having gone through divorces and pretty traumatic divorces, wouldn't you say, Kris?
Yeah, I was very, very upset when I had my divorce. Yeah, I didn't want to think about it right now, but it was very bad. And I was actually took time off work. I was so devastated.
Right.
And Christine, she had a very similar situation with her divorce.
Yeah, we were blindsided by like traumatic situations and then kind of left grappling with how do I completely start over and raise kids. And so as we came into this relationship, I mean, I'll talk from my side. I'm not going to speak for you, Kris. I'll give you time. So I spent a lot of time investing in therapy and investing in counseling and trying to wrestle with my trauma because I found myself grappling with like PTSD from, the news of the infidelities and all of that kind of stuff that had occurred in my previous relationship. But putting myself out there and trying to find a relationship and showing up as my authentic self was really, first of all, it was risky. Second of all, it was exhausting. And third of all, it was just like, I never thought I was going to find that right person. And so I don't know, Kris, when you started to look for a relationship, what did you do to get yourself ready to find the right person?
Wow, that's a good question. To get myself ready?
Yeah.
I think I just went, for honest to God, though, I did do a lot of rebounding, like right afterwards. Like I think a lot of us do. Tracy, is that the kind of a thing people do as soon as they have a horrible relationship that kind of ends? They immediately try to go into fix-it mode and try to find a replacement, like a Band-Aid immediately?
People do that, and other people completely avoid relationships. It just depends.
Okay, I did a little bit of both. I think I did a little bit of the rebound at first, and then I kind of went into like, I don't know, and then let's try this again.
Did you think that the rebound was the avoidance of a real relationship? Did you find yourself rebounding to people you'd never really stay with for the long run?
I think that's my knee-jerk reaction, honestly, though. When I get dumped or a relationship ends or whatever, my next knee-jerk reaction is just to kind of like replace it, like fill that spot. It's like anything in this house that gets broken, I have to immediately replace it. And I think a relationship for me is almost kind of the same thing where it has to be replaced immediately. And then of course it doesn't work out that way. but for me, it's kind of why my brain works. It's like, so if like today I had to go to the store, pick up a few things, because something was missing. Oh, I need to replace it and go to the store, replace it. That's kind of how I operate, I guess.
So
that makes sense.
So when you think about that, Tracy, thinking about, and I know you don't know Kris and I, our background, as we think of your specialty in the area of attachment, what are some of the questions that you would have for us coming up based off of what you've heard so far?
For you guys now or for when you were dating?
When we were dating, like if you had met us in the in-between point, what are questions you would ask to help us get ready for that healthy relationship?
Well, one of the things, and then this is for anybody out there, when you are dating, what were you paying attention to? What was your focus? So what I mean by that is a lot of people are focused on the other person. Do they like me? Do they not like me? We don't ask ourselves like, okay, I feel connected to this person and actually feel it, right? Not think it, but feel it. I actually feel connected to this person. Why? Why do I feel connected to them? Well, I enjoy my time with them. Well, I laugh a lot. Well, in whatever, like you're thinking of things about what it is that actually wants you, wanting you to draw closer, not from insecurity, not from not wanting to be alone. Because a lot of times people, when they're dating and they're totally focused on the other person, it's like they're trying to fill a space, an empty space.
Okay, so I was just like waving my hand at Kris, like I needed to say this because when you said you were just talking right now, it really made me think about my first marriage and how my family prepared me to find the person that I was supposed to be with. My mom told us from a young age, make a list of qualities and find somebody that meets that list.
Entire list, like all of them?
Well, as much as possible. But
Okay,
I think
yeah.
that in my mind, it became a checklist instead of like you're talking about how do I feel? Am I connected with this person? It's not that I wasn't, but I think I approached it from a clinical perspective versus like connecting with myself. And I think when I was with Kris, that was the big difference. It wasn't about specific qualities. It was, does this person help me feel safe? Is it somebody that I can laugh with? Somebody that has the same types of priorities? Do you find that often that when people are going out and looking for that person that they want to marry, that they just kind of are looking for, they meet my list, they don't meet my list, and kind of like sorting people in and out versus connecting with them at first?
I definitely think so, because most people, when they have a checklist, unless it's something, like what your mom was talking about, but even to some degree, most people create one from a state of lack. What do I lack? And not that you, again, these are unconscious sort of promptings, motivation. It really comes from this place, though, of I need to have a person, let's say who earns a certain amount, who looks a certain way, who owns certain things, right? Those all come from a state of what you feel you lack. And that is also how you feel other people are going to perceive you if you have somebody who has the things you lack, right? So if I have a perfect, let's say, arm candy, that somehow someone's going to go, oh my gosh, Tracy, wow, look at you. You got, the perfect dude and you guys are perfect,
yeah,
right?
I know the feeling.
Right.
Christine tells me all the time.
You turkey.
Thank you.
It is true. He is, I call him my trophy husband because he's pretty hot.
Thank you.
It's nothing wrong with a little bit of arm candy, but it's the substance that matters. The looks are just, the cherry on top.
Of course. Totally.
It's frosting.
Of course. I mean, you want to be attracted to the person.
Yeah.
It's not that you don't, but I look at people who say, oh no, I won't go out with somebody because they're 5'8", they're not 6 foot. Okay. I won't go out with somebody because of their job. I won't go out with somebody because of them not having the wealth I want. There's things that people have insecurities about with themselves and feel that they lack, or that, let's say they have all of these great things, or, what people think are great. And this other person doesn't, they feel that is going to be, that's something they take personally, but they feel like that's something people are going to judge them on. Because a lot of people do their dating from how they feel other people are going to perceive them.
Oh.
Is that why you notice on some of these dating apps? I think all of them do. They'll have like a how much money do you make section on the little section of like your bio, I guess. I'll say like salary range, Do you, and also I think on some of these you can actually pick and choose which salary range you want to date in too. Like you're only dating people in this range or that range.
That's bizarre.
It's true. It's a thing.
That's like a sugar daddy right there.
Well, it is. You figure out who the sugar mama, sugar daddy, or the girls that are into that are,
or the guys that are into that.
Yeah. Well, also, too, like Tracy's saying, it could be maybe that say you make $1 million a year, you only want to date $1 million people. I don't know. Because maybe you feel like you have more in common. Maybe.
I feel like on a certain level, some people do. Like I know. Okay, so when I was dating, before I actually decided I wanted a committed relationship, I thought I wanted a committed relationship. Okay, so there was a difference. I think I want a committed relationship. And yet I wasn't ready for one at that point. So it took me a while, took me a few years to get to there. But I had a list, and it was a list I actually put on my dating profile at once. And it was because I had gone out with guys where it wasn't a match, and I was still super focused on the guy rather than on what am I doing here, or how am I connected to this, or what do I actually want. And so I put this list. It was a horrible list. It's like I can't remember the things that were on it, but it was pretty negative. And then I was wondering, wow, nobody's responding. I was being really clear and direct. Well, no, I really wasn't. And how would anybody respond to that if they saw a checklist? They would think, oh, I don't measure up. Or they'd think, wow, that person's got issues.
you said you must have had a checklist to date me on your profile?
No, she put the checklist on her profile.
I put it on. Yes.
So,
yes.
So I've seen those too. And let me tell you, red flag. When I see it says, you must be this, you must make this, you must be this, you must be this tall, you must be, I was like, who the hell's this chick? Get out of here with that.
It's like going to McDonald's. It's like, order your McGuy.
Like, okay.
But I will tell you where I was at the time, I was really closed down. I didn't think I was, but I was, because if you're open and you're emotionally available, you're not going to be doing that. I on an unconscious, again, so much of what we do is unconscious because we repeat the same things day in and day out. You know, we're on autopilot for the most part. And when I was doing this, I can only see it in hindsight. Like, wow, you know what? I remember feeling like I didn't want to be close to anybody. So why didn't I just get off the dating app and not date at all? Well, that wasn't where my head was at. I thought, no, I'm open. I'm ready. I'm going to get a guy who's going to, be this person. Yeah. So
Did it work?
I was just going to ask, did you get the McHottie off of the dollar menu or
Dollar menu.
No, not at that time. And I didn't leave it up for very long because I thought, okay, Tracy, the more I read it, it finally dawned on me, wow, this doesn't sound too good. What are you doing? Yeah. So like I said, I had a lot of growth for myself that I had to do.
Well, it sounds like you've definitely engaged in going through that growth. And, looking at your bio, there's some things that stood out to me that I'd love to learn more about when it talks about helping people to break these unhealthy, negative beliefs as it relates to relationships. How do you even start that kind of work? Because it seems like when we have unhealthy, negative beliefs about relationships, that it's not like they just all of a sudden blossomed and it's something that you can easily pluck up. Like that seems like it's rooted in lots of years of hurt and damage that you'd have to help somebody surface.
We do. I mean, all of it goes back to childhood in terms of you've developed your beliefs as a kid based on how you saw the world and your place in it. And, some of them were put there just by our families because people tend to bring things generationally, right? Like they don't think about the fact that, oh, my mom did this and I'm doing this, right? That takes a lot of self-awareness to even know that you're doing it. So we pick up all these things and we go forth and we don't realize that as adults, we brought a lot of this into our relationships, into our expectations, into our dysfunctional ways of being. So we do it in a couple different ways. It really depends on how much self-awareness a person has, because most of us also operate on a drama triangle. And
I love the drama triangle.
The drama. I think I bring that to the house every day.
No, I'm not going to interrupt, but I am going to interrupt Tracy because I will tell you that learning about the drama triangle when I was in therapy during my separation from my first husband was mind-blowing, and I use it in talking with people. Is it the victim, offender? Oh, what's the other third point? Well, you tell me what
Rescuer.
the drama. Yes.
Okay.
Tell Kris about the drama triangle.
What is it again?
Okay, so the drama triangle was developed by Dr. Stephen Karpman, and what he did was he had come up with these relational dynamics that we have that are on an upside down triangle. And so you have a victim, a rescuer, and a persecutor, or as you said, an offender.
Yeah,
same
persecutor.
thing.
Thank you.
And the persecutor's at the bottom of the triangle?
No, you switch positions on the triangle. Victim's at the bottom of the triangle.
Okay.
So it doesn't really matter because depending on the relationship, you will move into those different spots. And most of us don't see it in the movies, the news media. Anywhere you look in our society, you can see this operation because it's always about, okay, in a movie, who's going to be rescued, right? Well, you got to have somebody who's going to rescue the damsel in distress, and the rescuer is going to do that. And then there's always the villain, right? The persecutor. So we play this in our relationships with people. Like a lot of us will go into victim mode, and victim mode is I'm helpless to get out of this. Somebody's always doing something to me. It's always the other person's fault. I don't do anything wrong. Why is this happening? Plays that part. And then there's the rescuer who will keep rescuing that victim and probably get sick of it after a while and turn into the persecutor. And then, and at the same time, the victim can also turn into the persecutor. Oh, you don't ever help me. You don't do anything for me, because the persecutor is the bully, right? So there's all this switching around on the triangle, and that is not a healthy way to relate to anybody.
Sounds like a musical chairs.
Or a very toxic dance. So it's interesting that you bring this up because I use some of this language when Kris and I are having tense moments. That's what we'll call them.
Oh, yeah?
And because I learned the language in therapy when I went through it. So one of the things that I learned about is the only way to interrupt the triangle is to not engage in it and to step outside of it and to like bring light to what it is. And so, however, because this is new language for Kris,
Yes,
he
it
gets
is.
angry when I say, I hear you're putting yourself in the victim mode. I'm not going to step in and try and rescue you. Like, what can I do to help you figure out your way out of this situation? And then sometimes the sliding into the persecutor role happens just out of frustration. And so when you find couples or individuals that are really ingrained into this drama triangle, how do you help them interrupt that?
Well, it goes back to also your question on the negative beliefs. But the thing is, when you step on off the triangle, it's probably not the best idea to tell somebody that they are acting the victim, because that puts them in a defensive place, right? It's like, how would you respond? Well, I'd feel defensive. Like, what? What are you talking about? I'm just doing this. Because it's not up to you to fix your partner. It's not up to you to rescue them, you see. You're not here to teach him. He's not here to teach you in a way that's direct. The way we learn from each other is by watching the other person, by the stories, by the way that somebody is being. That's how we learn. But if somebody's directly telling me something, I'm going to shut down. I'm going to, not want to deal unless I'm going, oh God, okay, I've been through enough therapy. Okay, I'm going to show up. All right, fine.
Mm-hmm.
But what the work that I do, and going back to the beliefs too, it's at a deeper level. Because first of all, you got to look at, if I'm a victim, what the heck made me a victim in this situation, right? What is it that makes me helpless? Well, a lot of us just learn this over and over and over by watching our parents interact, or by being in other relationships where it just seemed that was the position because nobody was really listening to me. And, or whatever the excuse is. And so it's that you want to be able to take a deeper dive. You got to find your internal motivation. And internal motivation is a big part of why we choose these positions. Which one do I get a bigger benefit from? Because each position on the triangle, there's a benefit to being there. It's not that it's not beneficial or nobody would do it. So you have to look at, well, what's the benefit? And then what is the thing that's going to be, let's say, an emotionally risky action for me to take? So if my partner, right, like my husband and I, let's say that we're having a disagreement, we'll go, okay, you know what? I don't want to talk about this right now because I'm feeling this is uncomfortable for me. And I'm talking about me. I'm not talking for him. I'm not telling him what he's doing. I'm not being his teacher. Instead, I'm saying, this isn't comfortable for me. I don't want to be, in a place where I'm going to start getting angry and I'm going to lose control of myself. I'd rather be able to calmly address the situation. Right. And then that's what we do. And he does the same thing. And we don't fight very often. We're pretty similar in a lot of ways. And one of the things is, if he says something, I'll go, okay, well, this is how I feel about it. And I'm not going, this is how I feel about what you're doing. I say, this is how I feel about it. Like, I may say, this triggers me, or, and I know you're not doing it on purpose, because a lot of things that trigger us, the person is not doing on purpose. It's just, that's what they're doing. That's been their experience.
Right. It's like what I will say too is, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the situation.
And for me,
right,
because I've had past negative attachment issues, I perceive it as being my fault. But one of the other things that you mentioned really stood out to me when you were saying it's not my responsibility to teach Kris. I think that where it can be a little bit challenging for me is because I am a teacher. Like, I'm an educator by nature. And I feel like sometimes it's my job to not like engage in the situation, but help explain why I feel the way I do. And so we learn so that we're not continuing this. But I can see as I'm listening to myself with this, well, I'm taking on this role of trying to be the teacher. That then can come across as like positioning myself as better than him, or as being like, I know more, or condescending, which then reinforces like a negative pattern of interaction, right?
It does. And I think it also, in our society too, we have this whole thing with winners and losers, and we bring it to our intimate relationships until we have enough awareness to go, whoa, wait a minute. Nobody is the winner if I am making my partner the loser.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's going to create separation emotionally. You're not going to have emotional intimacy because you're going to have a divide between you. So, there's a lot of these, concepts like the superior to the inferior. There are a lot of people in relationships where it's like, yeah, I need to be better than my partner. Well, why do you need to be better than your partner? You're equals. You're supposed to be equals. It's not equal 50-50 all the time, but you're equals in terms of you're both there for a reason and you're basically mirrors for one another.
I always say like you're on the same team. You're not playing against each other.
Right. But if we never learned how to play by the same rules or we know the same rules, then we're still thinking we're showing up as the same members of the team, but really we don't know how to play together.
Playing different sports?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm having some really great aha moments here. So, Tracy, as you're engaging in this work, do you typically work one-on-one or do you work with couples? How does your business model work?
So I have programs where we have a group program that's a year-long program. And I also have coaches that I've trained who do one-on-one coaching and they work with, either couples or individually. I do coaching, but very, very, I don't even offer my coaching services basically. But I have worked with I've worked with couples and I've worked with individuals. And, I find that it's really fascinating in my world to work with both people because when I'm just working with one person and then they're talking about this partner and they're like, okay, can you coach my partner too? It's like, oh my God, you've been talking about an alien being this whole time, because it's not the same person. So I think it could be beneficial as long as both people are on the same page. So, but yeah, we have different programs and our big program is Mastery and that's our group program. That's a year long.
That's awesome. I think that, as you've been talking, what you're doing sounds different than like a typical therapy session. And I know that as we talk about like mental health and relationships, sometimes people are really resistant to going to like couples counseling. Do you find that individuals and couples are more willing to come and engage with you and your coaches because it's not called therapy or counseling?
To a degree, the work we do is really deep and it's emotional and somatic in nature because your body tends to hold every reaction you ever have. And the way you can tell is, let's say you're driving your car down the street and you slam your brakes on because there's like a cat or something running in front of you, I guarantee you physically have had a reaction. Your face has probably made a grimace of some sort. Your heart's probably racing out of your chest. Everything's tense in your body. So we tend to hold every event like that in our body. Like it is muscle memory when we have an event that happens, right? So that's where emotions are held. Emotions aren't held in your head. You can't feel anything in your head, but you can feel emotions in your body. And so we tend to have people really get into this place of awareness, feeling, and then emotionally risky action. And it's getting people in their bodies. And that's very difficult to do. So that's one of the things, with having this program, it's like once you start knowing it, you realize how difficult it is to actually change patterns. And so you might go, I don't know if I want to do that or not.
Right.
But there are people that watch their partners, that aren't in our programs, that watch their partners and they're like, okay, I'm watching you change and grow and I want some of that. I want to do what you're doing. So it just depends.
Yeah, I'm thinking through that. Like when Kris and I have a disagreement, there will be a physical response in some way, the heart racing. I'll start to clench my fists or he will. And it's just like you become rigid or, your body reacts. And I think that figuring out how to get to the root of whatever that emotion is and help to like change the response of the body, that seems like it would take a lot of time reprogramming.
It does and it doesn't, because once you get into your body, all of the other patterns, because we go to how to break patterns. And there's so many different ways, and I won't get into all of them because we could be on here till next year. But it's, we come at it from different angles because sometimes you hear something one way and then you hear it a different way and you're like, oh my God, that totally clicks. Well, we need it not just to click, but we need people to actually feel things inside of them. And that is where you learn that your body is the safest place to be rather than outside your body trying to control another person.
Yeah, you can never control anybody. I found that out.
No.
You think you can, but really you can't.
No,
you can't.
So, you're only one person. I know you have coaches that work with you, but how do you spread your knowledge so that other people can take advantage of it from just, coaching individuals? It seems like you might want to amplify your services. Do you have a podcast or anything?
I do. I have a podcast. It's called Freedom from Attachment. It's changed its name over the last 6 years, but it's Freedom from Attachment, and you can find it anywhere. It's on iTunes. It's on everything. I mean, literally everything, Spotify. And I also have a book too.
Oh, you do? Tell us about your book.
Okay, my book is called Overcoming Insecure Attachment, and it's basically it covers a lot around the drama triangle. It covers a lot around perfectionism, people pleasing, and how this is disruptive to having a healthy, happy relationship with yourself and with another person. And I really made it a how-to guide, just to put that out there, because a lot of self-help books give you great ideas, but this actually gives you insight into the work that I do and helps people to really be able to break patterns and change their lives.
Does it have is it almost like a guide in a way, like helps a person kind of go through like a step or like a manual to help them kind of figure things out as they read it?
In a sense, it does. One of the things with emotions, they're like the ocean. They're not linear. So even though the book is linear, you would be able to jump into different parts of the book. Like, God, I'm really feeling like I'm struggling, let's say with people pleasing. So you could go to that chapter. But that's after you read the first 3 chapters. You always have to read the first 3 chapters because they're really about building a foundation to be able to make the changes that are required in the other chapters.
Oh, gotcha. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So your book, is it designed more for individuals or for couples? If Kris and I wanted to read it, are we going to find benefit even though we're already married?
Absolutely. Anybody would find benefit. My husband is reading it. And he always says that. He goes, everybody could find benefit from reading this book. You could. It's not.
He's just being very supportive. Of what he's doing.
Yeah. So it sounds really, really interesting. So Overcoming Insecure Attachment by Tracy Crossley. Is that how we'll find it? And then where can our listeners purchase it from? Do they need to go to a website or is it on Amazon?
It's everywhere. It's on Amazon, I think Target, Barnes & Noble, Walmart. I mean, pretty much anywhere.
Everywhere. Hey, is Barnes & Noble still around? Are they still up? I don't know.
Yes, they are.
Are they? Are you sure?
Yeah,
they are. One at the mall.
Oh, I thought they went out of business.
No, I think you're thinking of Borders.
Yes, maybe that's the one I'm thinking of.
Now, do you have any special deals? Can our listeners go somewhere special to get an autographed copy from you? Or do you just want them to go through a big box retailer?
They can go through a retailer. If they want a signed copy from me, they can email me and I can, sell them the copy and sign it and send it to them.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
That sounds fun. I like that. I like that idea. I always like when there's a special signature inside. It makes me feel like I'm part of the VIP crew.
It does.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, so Tracy, we've loved having you on the show. Are there any last words of wisdom that you would like to leave with our listeners, especially as we're coming up through the holiday season and, relationship stress can be amplified?
I would.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. That's exactly what I said, a little bit. Yeah, I would tell people that it's really important to be very aware of the moment. If you can just stay in the moment, really recognize what's happening in the moment. What is actually happening right now? I'm not 5 years old and, my mom is yelling at me. No, that's not what's happening. It's really about being super present. If you can just be present even for a few seconds, it can save you a lot of stress, especially during the holidays with all the family and everything else that comes up at this time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Tracy. Kris, any last words?
Tracy, you've been a dear, and thank you so much for coming down here to San Diego to visit us today. We appreciate this.
Yeah, thanks so much for being on the show. And
thanks for leaving us a copy of your book right here. Make sure you autograph it before you leave.
Thanks so much, Tracy.
I love it. Thank you.
Hey there, K2 crew. We love having you as our loyal listeners.
To keep up to date with what's happening behind the scenes, check us out on social media.
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter.
And don't forget to follow our Facebook page.
Yeah, tag us in your favorite fun stories, and guess what? You might just end up on the show.
Ooh.
Having Tracy on the show, she was so wonderful. Come on down here.
Yeah, she was super informative, and I really loved how she was helping us talk through some of the, I wouldn't say struggles, but some of the pain points in our own relationship.
Right. Bringing everything to the light, like the trouble with the relationships we've had in the past and the divorces and things like that. It does get a little touchy for me sometimes talking about that kind of stuff. I know you do too. And all that kind of stuff.
I don't get touchy. What are you talking about? I don't get touchy. I never get touchy.
Point exactly.
Yeah, it was super enlightening. And so I think that her services and her book are going to be of a great benefit to so many of our listeners, don't you?
Absolutely.
And so, listeners, you can find out more about Tracy, more about us in the show notes. You can also find us where on the webs?
Oh, on the old interweb at chrisandchristineshow.com.
And so check us out. Check out our website. Follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter. Send Kris a little message. He loves to hear from all of our listeners. We both do, but I mean, it's next level when it comes to Kris and our listeners.
Why would you say that, baby?
I'm going to call them Christeners. Because they're like listeners of Kris. Christeners. Our listeners see like the cool cast. I'm going to come up with like they're the Kris and Christine Show listeners. Maybe I'm trying too hard today.
I think maybe you are, baby.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. And we will be back with you next week.